Thank you very much, everybody, for coming down today. We're going to be talking about return on experience. So my name is Laura. I'm a customer success manager at AppsFlyer. I work with a range of brands across e-com, finance, gaming, etc. So I'm joined today by my wingman, Richard, who's our director, or UK. You're sitting here looking pretty, right? Yeah. So Richard's he leads the customer success team here in the UK. We work for AppsFlyer. AppsFlyer's a mobile measurement partner. So we help you guys understand where your app users are coming from your marketing activity. We work with hundreds, thousands of brands across globally with lots of offices across various different regions. So return on experience today, we're going to be covering a few different topics. The first one is, what is return on experience? I'm sure you guys are used to all of the three-letter acronyms in mobile: CPA, CPIs, ROI, ROAS, etc. But today we're introducing a new one, ROX, or return on experience. We want to look at the impact to your business of being return on experience driven. What powers return on experience, so the process and the mechanism behind that. How we're going to have a look at how we calculate it as well. And then finally, we're going to end with some use cases, examples. I do want the session to be quite interactive today, so I'm going to be calling out and asking people to contribute. So sorry if I should have maybe pre-warned everybody a little bit earlier. So the first question is, what is return on investment to you, not return on experience? Don't know if anybody wants to have a go at answering. Yes, go on.
Not specifically to this market, but always in the business, return on investment is how much money does it cost to implement the solution or to buy it.
Yep.
Versus how much money you gain out of it. So basically, it's a very simple formula.
Absolutely. And I'm going to just actually ask for a show of hands here. So who do we have? Do we have any? Who here's a marketer or a user who works on user acquisition channels? Okay. Do we have any product people? Yep. And any devs? No, okay, so we're no devs today. All right, so return on investment can mean different things as well to different teams. So I didn't know if anybody from the product side wants to input something different to maybe the marketing side.
No, I think the definition that's called out is pretty much the same as what I was thinking. So.
Perfect, thank you. So, it's an extension to return on investment, but what is return on experience, or ROX? So it's a job about getting your customers from one location to another location within your app, specifically within your app, and you want that to be a great experience for the customer. It's a challenge, though, because it's difficult to implement, especially when you're running activities on various different channels, if you're doing paid marketing or you're doing anything across all of your owned media channels. So specifically, when we talk about return on experience today, we're looking at those owned channels, so emails, your website, maybe you've got QR codes as well. So return on experience, we're looking at the business impact of having great customer experiences. So what's the return on your investment from having these great experiences, from taking these users from one location to the other within your app? To define return on experience, or what is a great customer experience, it has to hit a few key pillars. The first is it needs to be contextual. There's no point in showing an ad or sending an email about products and then taking your user into the app and showing them something entirely different and they having to go search for it. So it needs to be contextual. Also needs to be personal. So you want to understand more about your users so you can give them relevant content and serve them relevant ads, send them relevant emails. You don't want to be spamming them with content that they're not interested in. And so personal is definitely the second pillar. In today's day and age, it absolutely has to be private. You don't want any unnecessary user info or data being leaked, and so it's core that the return on experience, the customer experience, is private. It also needs to be smooth, and so you don't want user being redirected round to the website maybe, or you don't want them to be redirected. You want them to go from location A to location B within your app in one smooth process. And these are the channels. So today we're going to be looking at things like web to app, so having any links or anything on your mobile website, emailing your users, texting your users information or links to lead to your app, having QR codes, post on your social media, and potentially user referrals as well. Just show of hands in the room, anybody using these channels at the moment? Less than I was expecting, so hopefully you guys are going to get something insightful from today. So, I mean, a few show of hands there that you've been using these channels. I wondered if anybody wants to share the challenges that you faced when trying to implement these kind of customer experiences. Maybe I'm leaning towards more the product guys in the room today.
Yeah, I guess, spending time on things that aren't necessarily of value to your end users.
So,
not understanding through research or data actually what customers want to have in their experience, and therefore missing the opportunity to get them to convert or have a good experience.
I love that. That's great. Yeah, I think it's definitely a challenge for knowing what's right to implement, and hopefully return on experience can help you direct that and give you guys focus and really invest your money into what is going to return that give you a return on that investment. From the marketing side, anybody want to share any challenges on these? No?
I guess maybe platform which, if they're opening an email on desktop, they're going to do that.
Absolutely.
How do you know?
Absolutely. So it's difficult to create the experience where you can cater for all platforms opening from. So opening from desktop, from mobile, etc. So yeah, great challenge, and I guess one that everybody experiences. So we're next going to look at ROX in some numbers. So these are all global figures, but AppsFlyer, we have access to a lot of data. And so when we talk about generic journey, we're just talking about a click on any attribution link that the user is then led to the App Store. Now, when we talk about return on experience, we're talking about specific journeys. And so we can see here, the click to install rate actually increases massively from having these contextual and personalized journeys. So Text Me the App, for example, is between 15 and 20%. And the offline, we call it offline, but it's QR codes. We can see that has a whopping 33% conversion rate. So that's, compared to the generic journey, it's massive. I'm going to have a look at some of these stats as well now on a per vertical basis. So I'm hoping that I've been speaking to people, we've got some e-com clients here, I think there's some gaming as well. So if we have a look at some of these stats, I think off time to app in shopping is really significant, because we saw generically across globally that was 33%, but when we look at it specifically in the context of shopping, we're going up to 41%. Web to app in travel. So I know I've been speaking to a lot of travel companies, and migrating their users from the web into app is really important to them. And so from doing those, having those links on their website and going from web to app, they've got a huge conversion rate of 32%. But it's not just about getting the app installs, because there's a lot that the users need to go on to do before it becomes valuable for you. And so we have a look at the share of the paying users. In food and drink, when you're using return on experience driven, when you're using links and taking return on experience driven approach, we see a share of paying users 14%. And this is much higher than the global average on verticals. And I don't know if you guys are aware of what your percentage of paying users are, but hopefully it's somewhere near these. And if not, maybe return on experience is something you guys can consider. We have a quiz time, and this is what I sent Richard back to get. So we have some tiles. I have to admit that the numbers in the quiz aren't correlated to the previous slide, so it's maybe going to be a bit of a guess, but we can give the tiles out to the winners. So the first question is, for UK, what do we think the click to install rate is for web to app? And this is across all verticals. I don't know if anybody wants to take a whack at it. Should we go back to the previous slides to have a look at what the click to install rates were? So these were what we were looking at before. So web to app, we can see is between 25 and 30%. And that's on a global scale. So what do we think it is here in the UK? Anyone want to take a guess?
20%?
Close. Anyone? 15? Ooh. 19. Well, you're going to win the tile because it is 23% here in the UK. The gentleman at the back.
It's like a tracking thing.
Yeah, for your keys.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
Or anything else you don't want to lose. So which channel has the highest share of paying users in the UK? So specifically for UKs, which kind of channel we're talking about? The web to app, the social to app, text me the app, etc. Which one has the highest percentage of paying users in the UK? Yes.
Is it? Actually, no. Is it web to app?
Maybe. Anyone else?
Social to app?
Offline? Ooh. So it's actually in the UK, it's text to app. The highest percentage of paying users. Thank you very much. My glamorous assistant. There you go. And finally, so which industry in the UK specifically has the highest click to install rate?
Shopping, games. Business. Oh. Oh, you meant
Shopping,
I was
games.
going to say social, but that's not what you're asking.
Yeah, which vertical? Yes.
Finance?
Finance. What else I've forgotten what we've said. So actually, no one said it, so maybe we'll I'll take a point or something. So yeah, productivity apps with 33%, so it's pretty high, which is a surprise because I thought it would be something more around retail e-com as well here in the UK. So now we've had a look at some numbers, we're going to have a little bit more of a deep dive into the tech that lies behind return on experience. So essentially it's deep linking. Does anybody use deep linking in their apps? Yep, yeah. How do you find it to implement? Good, hard, easy?
Yeah, I'm not on the team that implements it, but well, I know that we use it within our space.
So. Deep linking is the process of taking your users and launching the app straight away and taking them through to specific content. Now that can be if they've already have the app installed. So if you see an ad maybe for jeans and you click on that, you want to be taken through to the product, the same product within the app. So that's deep linking. We also have deferred deep linking. So this is a process where the user doesn't have the app installed already. And so when they click on the link, they go through to the App Store. And then afterwards, when they first launch the app after installation, they come straight through to that product as well. So we have deep linking when they already have the app installed. And we have deferred deep linking to take them through to that specific content when they don't have the app installed. So they have to go through the installation process first. So let's have a look at this example. The weather is much nicer in the UK for the last few days, thankfully. I'd say maybe it's our colleagues have brought it over with them. But perhaps you might start seeing these as we head towards summer and you want to start booking your summer holidays. So this here is an offline ad, so we have a QR code. If we scan this, I'm waiting for the bus. I go to the App Store page, I install it. I do not want, when the app is opened, I don't want to start seeing skiing holidays, for example. You know, I'm looking at this, thinking, oh, it's warm outside, I want to go on holiday. And so this is the great customer experience that we're trying to drive, is when we scan that QR code, I install the app, and instantly it's going to open up these summer holidays that I've seen on the ad placement. So it's contextual. If we go back to those pillars, it's contextual and it's personalized for me. How do we measure it? So the formula for return on experience is the benefits that you get from having a return on experience driven approach. So the incremental lift in revenue. You know, if you have an e-com app, for example, it's the lift in purchases that you're going to have from having this great experience. You divide that by the cost of the experience, whether it's tools that you needed to use to implement it, the human resources, etc., and times by 100 to get the percentage. So that's your return on experience. And especially if you're trying to find ways, or you've had challenges with finding what the right thing is to implement within your app, then having a look at things from a return on experience, and you can kind of boil it down and break it down in numbers to make sure that you're getting the right, or you're implementing the right things. I want to have a look at some use cases. So first things first is shopping and shopping cart abandonment. So I'm sure if there's shopping apps in here, you have the experience where users will add items to their basket, but they never go on to checkout. And so in this example, the e-com client has emailed their customer with a link in that email to say, hey, return back to your basket, and it'll have all of the same items in the basket. And so the user can just very smoothly check out. And actually, when we've seen users, or we've seen AppsFlyer customers doing this, we see a 17% average for paying users. So 17% of the users that click on this link from this email are going to go back and complete that purchase. And so that's a huge uplift in paying users from having this great return on experience. Lifetime value. So this here is we've got user invites implemented within the SDK. And so one user maybe thinks that their friend will really like this. And so they've WhatsApped this to their friend. And we see 16% click to install rate for users through this process, which is much higher than that generic version, which I think was below 5%. And we also see a very good rate of paying users as well from this. So that's another great experience where the users are. And actually, also, apologies, they've implemented something called open graph tags with this as well. So when the user shares the link, they can define what image is shown in that icon. So especially if you're sharing particular products or you're sharing specific content to your friends, then that journey is really personalized for them, because it's going to show them an icon. It's going to show them an image related to what's going to happen within the app when they click on it. Finally, we have banking. And so a lot of banking apps have to take users to landing pages before they go on to install the app. And so this is a great opportunity to implement one of those return on experience, implement an ROX, because you can have multiple different products and you can have a deep link behind each product link. So when they either click on it and go straight through to the app, or they click on it and they go and install the app, then they're taken through directly to that product. I mean, banking has things like savings, loans, and so on. So you want them to go through to the correct product within the app. And we can see 37% for click to install, so it's pretty big in comparison, especially to the generic journeys. That's actually where we're at for today. So this is where I want it to be a bit more maybe interactive. I find that in workshops and things like this, a lot of the learning comes from people sharing their experiences, because I obviously work for my clients and I help them implement this and I help them measure it. But sometimes there's learnings that we can share. So thank you very much for everybody that's spoken up so far. But I was wondering if, what's maybe a success that somebody's had with implementing these? I know that a few hands went up when you said that you've used deep linking before. And I wondered if anybody wanted to share a success story with that, maybe something that you guys have implemented.
Or if anyone has any questions at all
Yeah,
about anything that's been presented, even about AppsFlyer or just in general.
Yeah.
About deep linking, sorry, this is a bit basic, but a couple of the issues that we've had is, so we're her dating app and we wanted to get people to download by saying, hey, this influencer has posted XYZ within the app,
Yep.
so here's deep link. But like we'd give people a link on the app, on the ad,
Yep.
and they'd click through, download the app, but then they'd have to go back to the ad to click the same link to actually get to the content, and it's all really messy.
Yep.
And then trackability is also an issue as well that we have. We use brand currently, sorry. So I know, but just being able to kind of like see the downloads and kind of have the same metrics that we do with our regular campaigns, it's been like a point for us.
Yeah, so I mean, using AppsFlyer links, you would have the measurement alongside all of your other data. But yeah, the journey you spoke on where they install the app and then they have to go back to get through to the right content, are they iOS users by any chance? Yes. So it's difficult to deep link, or defer deep link, I should say, on iOS now, due to the privacy changes that they've made. So it is a challenge, but it also depends on where you're deep linking from. And the techniques that you use. Maybe a conversation that you can have with one of our solutions architects. But yeah, it is a challenge. But you can create links that are universal, that can be used on various different platforms that have the same functionality to take them through to that content.
Awesome.
Thanks. Any other questions? Yes.
Okay, so just kind of on that point, where someone is kind of goes through partway through the sort of customer journey, the acquisition journey, and then in order to complete that, they have to then download the app. when they're sort of an iOS user, then they have to pick up their application or whatever when they download the app. Is that sort of an issue? I think we've experienced where it's been an issue where people don't find that same spot that they were in the application stage, so they have to start all over again once they download the app, rather than picking up where they left off in the web part of the journey.
Yep.
So is that sort of like an iOS typical issue, or is that just maybe more of like a product issue?
I mean, it could be both. But yeah, deferred deep linking on iOS is tricky now with the privacy changes. But let's say you have this journey where they take the first part of the journey is done in web. You can have these links or return on experience, deep links that then take the user straight through to content within the app. Maybe there's a particular sign-up process that you have, or a particular homepage that you can have for those users. So it's a bit of both. Yes, there's challenges from the iOS side, but it's also how you implement it and how you've implemented deep linking and what those links are telling users to do, or where those links are taking users to inside your app. So there's, a bit of both there.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else?
Yes.
Do you have any sort of estimation on the negative effect that not deep linking has? Because I think we've seen success with deep linking.
Congratulations.
From one app to another. We've got like a suite of 4 apps.
Yep.
It works really well to kind of, if you knew about one, but you didn't know about the other 3.
Yep.
It works really well, but it's quite, from what I gather from the product team, it's quite a difficult thing to implement deep links, and we're often quite reluctant to do it. So I think it'd be quite useful to know that, say, for example, push notifications was used quite a lot.
Mm-hmm.
By not using deep linking for those, is actually having a detrimental effect rather than a positive. You know what I mean? Or
Yeah. No, I understand. Yeah. I mean, the detrimental effect would be in the numbers, because you're not going to be increasing any of your revenue. You might be emailing all of your users every day, but because they view it as spam and there's no deep links in there, so when they click on it, they're going to the web perhaps rather than to in-app. It's more the absence of the data, I suppose, rather than actually physically seeing seeing something. But yeah, you would see very little success if you are measuring the engagements from all of these different channels as well when you're reaching out to them. To not have deep linking, I would suspect that the conversion rates and everything that you measure down funnel of that, registrations, purchases, whatever you've got going on in your app, I would expect that to be far, far less than something where you do have deep linking and you are taking the users straight through. Users are fickle generally, and you have very short period of time to grab their attention. So taking them straight from one place to the other is the cleanest journey, and is going to have a much better return than you would have from not having it, or having that broken journey where they have to go to the web and then they have to go to the app and then they have to go back. Sorry, didn't mean that wasn't but yeah, so because it makes sense in certain scenarios. But yeah, if they're going back and forth, it also becomes really difficult to measure. So it's very much the absence of the data. I don't know if you wanted to add anything to that, Richard.
No, not really. I mean, all the studies prove that if you have deep linking, it increases conversion rates ultimately, especially for re-engagement. I mean, it's quite easy to acquire like new users, but then to get them to re-engage is a bit more difficult, but you get more value from them. You can also use the linking as well if you want to control not just users going back into the app, but I don't know if you've ever seen an ad, and it may be on like Facebook, and it says, buy this pair of trainers, and it directs you to download the app. But in fact, you don't want to download the app. You just want to go to the web page and actually look at the pair of trainers on the web page. You don't know when you click on that link that it's a deferred deep link. There's nothing to indicate that to you. So I know there's some clients who can use our linking, so you can control that. So rather than going to the app store, if you don't have the app, they don't actually want you to download the app. They don't want to lose you. They want to take you to a web page, and then you'll go and buy the pair of trainers.
And then they'll have the link to download the app after the purchase.
Yeah, exactly.
Because app users generally are more valuable than your web users across the board. And so the ultimate goal is to convert them into the app eventually,
Right.
whether that's pre or post-purchase.
All right, thanks everyone. Well, it was Laura who did it.
Yeah, thanks guys.